So early on in high school, I had this honors pre-calc class, right? And I remember I did so exceedingly well in this course that at one point, there was in the back of the classroom a bulletin board completely dedicated to little old me. It was called the Wall of Tyson, and it had all of my perfect exams and quizzes stapled to it. I lie to you not. And I'm pretty sure I performed similarly in every other class I took in high school. So why do I bring this up? Well, some part of me just wanted to brag about it. But more importantly, I bring it up because despite this fact, I graduated high school with an abysmal GPA. I don't even remember what the actual number was, but I know it was bad, and here's why. So I'm an immigrant. I moved here from Trinidad and Tobago when I was just a wee lad. And anyone who's an immigrant knows that immigrant families show up like 50 deep to every event. It's how it goes. For my high school graduation, my grandma flew in, my uncles, my aunts, some lady who watched me one time when I was a kid, the doctor who delivered me, the freaking Prince of Trinidad was there. Well, real talk, joint was like coming to America. They were throwing petals and all that.
Wow, look who's here. Come in, come in. Welcome to Casa de McDowell. Just come right in.
And they were all there because they knew I was smart, and accordingly, they were coming to see a show. From their perspective, I was finna give an award speech, perform at the halftime show, all that. But as it turns out, there was nothing to see, okay? Because remember, my GPA was poo-poo caca. At my high school, for graduation, they organized you and called your name by GPA. All the summa cum laude kids were together, all the magna cum laude kids, etc. But for me, they put me with like all the kids who had just got out of prison, you feel me, like fresh out, just so they could walk the officer. They was there with the officers, all that. One dude in my section was like at least 45. And the dude next to me, I remember I was talking to him, he was like, yo, keep it real, bro, I don't even go to this school. I was like, what, why are you here? John was crazy, that's who they had me with. So my GPA blew my cover. Luckily though, as was seen with the Wall of Tyson, I'm a historically strong test taker. And so I did very, very well in the SAT, and that was enough to get me into college. Fast forward, and for the last few years, I've been completing my PhD in chemistry at Yale and UC Berkeley, which is often regarded as the #1 chemistry program in the world. So I turned out okay. All right, so what's the point? Well, I've told you this long, convoluted story so I can get to this. My problem with GPA is that it doesn't actually measure what people think it does. You see, the argument that I'm making, and many others have been making, is that it's not necessarily a measure of how smart you are, or even how well you know a particular topic, but rather it's a measure of your ability to work in a very specific way. If you can take an assignment that's due in 3 weeks, break it up into 21 little parts, and then do one part every day, you'll probably end up with a pretty decent GPA. I, however, do not work like this. I have a very hard time starting and stopping tasks, which means I have a very hard time sticking to a schedule. If I'm very engaged in a particular project, whether it be a book or an experiment or even a video game or a TV show, I'm gonna work on that thing, zoom in and ignore everything else around me. It's hard for me to stop doing what I'm doing in order to move on to something else. When I was in college, I remember I was reading this book on medical biochemistry, and I was so engrossed in this book that I would skip my actual biochemistry class in order to keep reading it. By the way, this is also why, despite the fact that my channel says new uploads weekly, that I invariably spend several hours cranking out 2 to 3 videos before disappearing for weeks on end. I'm sorry, it'll net out in the end, I promise. But don't get me wrong, as an aspiring educator, I fully understand that it would be very difficult to support a course where every student skips class in order to read his own book. And I also understand that the skill set that is required in order to become a 4.0 student is insanely valuable. But still, the scientist in me can't help but notice that there's a tremendous amount of error in the measurements that we're performing. If we're going to use grades and GPA as a measure of intelligence and/or as an indicator to determine how well someone knows a particular topic, then we need to ensure that our measurements are accurate. Our current metrics are skewed towards people who work and study in a particular way. And not only is that not fair, but ultimately it's not productive. This means that there are a lot of really smart people who may not be getting into college or med school or business school, whatever it may be, because people are using inaccurate measures of their expertise. And this ultimately means that we as a society are not benefiting from their talents. Can you imagine a life with no fresh professor? What's the point? It's in all of our best interest to ensure that the success metrics that we utilize can efficiently and reproducibly identify the strongest thinkers in our society, irrespective of trivial factors such as study habit. This could be as simple as allowing students to work at their own pace. Most classes are currently being given via remote instruction anyway. This could then be complemented with a variety of assessment options that allow students to demonstrate their knowledge of topics in ways that suit their particular learning styles. Of course, all of this is complicated by the fact that schools in America are underfunded as is. I don't know, it'll require more thought than I can give while babbling over a video. Greater thinkers than me are working on this anyway, but I'm interested in hearing what you all have to say. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? I'm hoping this can be a conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Promise it won't offend me if you think that I'm stupid or I'm just salty or whatever. This is the internet, bro. I always expect the worst anyway. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, alright? I'll see you in the next one. Cause girl, I wanna share electrons with you, mix clouds with you, get inside your cell more than H-bomb with you. Oh, I don't want some molecular force at all, girl. I'm tryna get in them orbitals. I just wanna enzyme help you get to your transition, detect the frequency of your emission. Can we agree to just